Okay. Last night, I had the first Mass, and it was hectic. We had to figure out what we were doing with the candle. We had a baptism last night. We had the new translation. Jim didn't know what he was doing, so to speak, because it was just new, flipping the slides. I needed Fixodent, and I don't have dentures. It was just crazy. The tongue was tied. Some of us may question why. Why are they doing that, Father? The cynical part of me says it's because some bishops over in Rome have nothing better to do. There is some reason. Change in the church has occurred often. Sometimes dramatically, sometimes not. One of the examples that is very appropriate for today is the fact that when I was born, 1964, the language of the church changed from Latin to English. And with that, now for good or ill, depending on where you're bent, change occurred. And for the first Sunday of Advent, that wasn't the first time that it changed. I'm thinking of this. How many of you do remember the Latin Mass? Okay. Now, if you went to a funeral, there was one hymn that they sang. It was called the Dies Irae. Okay? It went basically, Dies Irae, Dies illa, solvet seclum in favilla, teste David cum sibilla. And it went for 20 minutes. That translation is day of wrath, that day of ire, when heaven and earth shall pass in fire, according to David's and the Sibyl's lyre. The focus was on judgment, and the judgment was negative. That hymn, the Dies Irae, was actually written for the first Sunday of Advent. The first Sunday of Advent, and Advent in general, was seen not as the beginning of the year, but as the end of the year. Christmas was the beginning of the year. And with Advent, you were supposed to not be hopeful, you were supposed to be sorrowful. The church, in her wisdom, through the grace of God, shifted over time that notion of death and destruction to one of hope. So because we live in faith, we should not dread faith. We should not dread death. Death is something that we look forward to. Not necessarily with open arms, but because we're going to be with the Lord. Advent turned from the gloom and doom of penance to one of hope and expectation. As we begin this new season, we're beginning just not only a new season, but a new era, at least with language. You can be the pessimist, which will get up in the morning, open the window, and say, "Good God, it's morning." Or you can be the optimist who gets up in the morning, opens the curtains, and says, "Good morning, God." It's a new beginning. Make the best of this new beginning. Hope for the Lord, grow with the Lord, so that we can all be with the Lord.